Hey guys, I'm Austin, and this is Everyday Nerd. So today I just wanted to briefly go over a few of my thoughts and predictions for Tesla stock moving into next year. Now, I think it's going to be a pretty crazy year because they've got three humongous milestones already lined up for next year, not including us finding out whether or not they hit their 500,000 projected delivery number at the end of this year, 2020. And speaking of 2020, I also wanted to look at what we might see movement-wise from the stock in the last few days of this year as well. So if you want to find out, stick around. So 2020 is almost over, and I think we can all agree that that's a pretty darn good thing. I think we'll all be really happy to see the back of 2020 and the face of 2021. However, for Tesla investors such as I, and maybe you guys, it's still going to be an interesting next few days for us. We got Tesla trying to hit their 500,000 delivery projection, so fingers crossed that they do. Honestly, even if they fall a little bit short of that, I feel as if that would be a pretty major undertaking and achievement, especially considering just what the heck happened this year. Even if they're several thousand or tens of thousands short, if they only deliver 400,000 vehicles this year, that's still going to be a massive improvement compared to what a lot of other automakers have been enjoying or not enjoying, since a lot of their sales are down, which is fine by me because most of their products are crap compared to Tesla's. But that's just my opinion. On top of that, we have been seeing the stock price pare back some of its recent gains leading up to the S&P 500 inclusion. And I feel as if this movement is coming from two camps of people. On one hand, you've got gamblers, or as I like to call them, bandwagon investors. These are the people who follow trends, they hear about the next hottest thing, and they jump on, the bandwagon for it. And then they sell when they feel like they're making a nice little profit, or they will also panic sell if they feel like the stock price is starting to bottom out or drop. And since they're so emotional, they don't stick around and play it safe and smart. I personally think it'd be more fun to go to Atlantic City or Las Vegas, but that's just me. On the other side of the aisle, I feel as if we might be seeing a lot of long-term Tesla investors either taking the financial equivalent of a victory lap, or just seeing long-term Tesla investors deciding to finally cash out after holding shares for about, 10 years? Like 9 or 10 years? It's been a long time, and you have a lot of, what do they call them? Teslaonaires? I don't know. I think that's what it's called. And while I would recommend not to cash out right now unless you have no other choice, I also can't blame them for wanting to cash out because they're going to realize some spectacular gains, and I'm pretty jealous. It makes me wish that I had invested a lot sooner and a lot more aggressively than I did when I started investing, last October. But I also see where Tesla is going in the next decade and even beyond that, and I feel as if the gains that they would realize today by selling could be just exponentially increased if they were to hold off and sell in another 10 years or 20 or 30 years. But that's just me. So let's get down to brass tacks. 2021 is shaping up to be a pretty massive year for Tesla. You've got full self-driving right around the proverbial corner. You've got Tesla Semi coming out later, and then you got the Cybertruck that's supposed to hit around the tail end of 2021. Honestly, if the company was to meet any of these self-imposed deadlines for just one of the products, I feel like that would be a pretty massive achievement. If they were to meet all three self-imposed deadlines, I think the stock movements we've seen in 2020 and even 2019 are going to pale in comparison to what we're going to see in 2021. And as an investor, that has me pretty pumped. So let's talk about full self-driving. The barrier to entry for that software is pretty high. Right now it sits at about $10,000, which is a ton of money for anybody. And if you're thinking that it's not a lot of money, then I'm kind of jealous of you. And I wish I could think that way too. However, what's amazing about the full self-driving update that's coming out next year is the fact that they're going to introduce a subscription model to it. This will dramatically lower the price and barrier to entry for this software to current Tesla owners and future Tesla owners. I honestly feel as if they're going to exponentially increase the number of miles they have feeding the algorithms that power full self-driving. So a feature that's already pretty darn solid is going to be exponentially refined beyond where it currently is now. And this is going to make the lead that Tesla has on top of, or compared to all other automakers, that much more insurmountable, which is why I'm not worried about Rivian, Apple, or Amazon, honestly. It's going to be incredibly hard for them to catch up. I mean, maybe Tesla will license their software to their competitors, Apple, GM, Volkswagen, Amazon. It's hard to say, but that's definitely another revenue option for them. And if they do that, they're going to start making even more money because the software is good. They've proved that. And trying to beat them at their own game while starting from scratch is going to be almost insane. They're not a legacy automaker. It's not as if they've been letting themselves stagnate for decades on end. They're always trying to beat themselves. And by doing so, they've made themselves the top dog in this space. So it might make sense for people trying to horn in on their territory to try and use some of what's making Tesla great. And consequently, it'll make Tesla even greater. Moving on from full self-driving, we've got Tesla Semi, which from what I can recall, I haven't heard a whole lot about recently, but this is still going to be a major achievement for the company. You've already got, 130 units ordered by Walmart, with an option for them to purchase 350 more depending on how the first 150 perform with their fleet. And with it being Tesla, I'm pretty sure they're going to want those extra 350 minimum. Now, what's pretty awesome is that the semi revenue for the company could potentially be worth about $42 million to $126 million for Tesla. That's a lot of money, but it's not as massive as what we see on the horizon for like Cybertruck, for example, or Tesla's insurance. But it's still a big deal. So let's dive into the meat and taters of this video and talk about Cybertruck. Now, I'm not in love with the aesthetics of the truck. However, I am in love with it from a practicality perspective. And I do believe that this vehicle is going to be a pretty massive deal for Tesla. I mean, all their products are big deals for them, but the truck market, especially here in North America, is pretty big. And if Tesla can manage to cut themselves a Cybertruck-sized slice of this market, they're going to be sitting pretty. Now, Mr. Musk sent out a tweet, it may have been earlier this year or last year, claiming that there were approximately 250,000 reservations for Cybertruck at the time of his tweet. And that's a big number. But I did some digging around on the internet, and I found a forum. It may be on the Tesla site itself, but I found a forum where a ton of fans were collating a lot of reservations and trying to get a feel for the true real-time number of reservations. And from what they have predicted, the number sits a lot closer to about 713,000 vehicles. Now, that's more than double what Mr. Musk said way back when. That's fine by me. And I did some quick and dirty napkin math on these numbers. And what was it? If only a quarter of those approximately 713,000 reservations turn into actual purchases and deliveries, or at least purchases for Cybertrucks, and at the lowest price point, we're looking at, a profit of roughly $7 billion for the company, which is a lot of money. I believe in 2019, the company generated, $24.6 billion. So that's a healthy percentage right there. Now, if we decide to be even more conservative with our estimates, and let's just say maybe only a tenth of these reservations materialize into full-on orders, we're still looking at a profit of roughly $2 billion, which is still a lot of money for Tesla. Either way you slice it, I feel as if Cybertruck's going to be a big success and it's going to make Tesla a ton of money. So if we were to do just a little bit more napkin math, as I like to call it, let's take those profits from only a tenth of those reservations materializing into full-fledged orders, and let's compare that to 2019's revenue. We're looking at roughly 10% of 2019's revenue being made from just a single product, a single brand new product, let me remind you. Now, that's pretty big, in my opinion. And if we look at a quarter of those reservations, turning into full-fledged orders, well, we're probably looking at about, maybe 30-ish% of 2019's revenue coming from just Cybertruck orders. And I'm not saying this would all happen in 2021, but just over the course of those reservations turning into orders, that's a ton of money. And these are from new revenue streams as well, which is pretty amazing. So the pre-existing revenue streams that generated the almost $25 billion for Tesla back in 2019 will still be bringing in revenue. So between Cybertruck, Semi, and Full Self-Driving, I wouldn't be shocked if for 2021, we're going to see Tesla hit maybe $27 to $30 billion in revenue. That's a lot of money. That's a nice increase. And it makes me really freaking happy that I'm an investor. So just to summarize, guys, we are looking at some pretty phenomenal days ahead for Tesla. Hopefully they hit their 500,000 delivery mark for 2020. If they're even just a little bit off, I'll be pretty pumped. I will certainly not be complaining. And moving on from that, we've got Full Self-Driving coming out, Semi, and Cybertruck. All the existing revenue streams that they were enjoying in 2019 and this year will continue into 2021. They're going to have 3 new major revenue streams in the forms of Full Self-Driving, Semi, and Cybertruck. And honestly, we're probably going to be seeing a much leaner, more profitable, and just overall healthier Tesla going forward than we've ever seen before. I feel that Tesla is in the best position it's ever been in, and that's just going to continue to snowball moving into the future. Just look at the stock price and how it jumped from the announcement to the for the S&P 500 inclusion up until like the day before. It went from about $400 a share to almost $700 a share. That's roughly a 59% jump in stock price. And you've got a company with incredibly solid fundamentals backing that up. Even if it is a little overvalued right now, the future value of the company is pretty stellar. And that's why I'm just going to keep buying stocks, baby. All right. If you're still watching this video, then holy crap, thank you. All 6 of you, or 2 of you. Realistically, all 1 of you. Thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. If you would not mind, please like this video and subscribe to my channel, because I've got a lot of other content in the works, and I'd love for you guys to see it, assuming you would love to see it as well. Once again, thank you, and have a happy freaking day.